Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's press conference. We're here with head coach Frank Reich, and we will go right into questions. Please use the raise hand function on Zoom, and we will take questions as they come in. John, you're up first.
Coach, you've had a chance to watch the tape and talk to the coaches. What is your review of the game, having now had a chance to do that exercise?
Yeah, no, thanks, John. Yeah, watch the tape. And so I would say this, my assessment and talking with the coaches, looking on defense, a lot of good things. We knew they were going to obviously be a pass heavy team. I thought we did a good job, controlling that. I mean, averaged 5.2 yards an attempt. That's a pretty good number statistically, over the course of a long game like that. So I thought we played the ball in the air pretty well like that. One of the big keys on both sides of the ball was going to be red zone offense and red zone defense. And that's obviously the biggest failure that we had offensively. We were 1 for 4, and I'm talking about scoring touchdowns, not scoring points, but we were 1 for 4 on offense and we were 2 for 4 on defense. So we need to be better right there offensively. 3 of our first 4 drives were in the red zone and we only scored a touchdown. And we didn't score a touchdown on any of those drives. So we have to be better there. I thought the effort by the players was good. There were some lapses on all 3 sides of the ball over the course of the game, but I thought in special teams, I thought our guys did a good job. First game of the year, new deal, assignment stuff was good. I thought Emmett kicked well. We had the one that was blocked. The operation was just a little bit off. Didn't feel like that was necessarily, on him. So that's a general assessment.
Thank you, John. Steve?
Yeah, Frank, just wondering when Hawaii got to, I think, your 21 with about 35, 40 seconds left, and you had 3 timeouts to try possibly, even if they kicked the field goal, you'd have some time left. What went into your decision making to not use the timeouts there?
Yeah, no, good question. I was pretty dialed in with our analytics team, on listen, the charts on those things are pretty accurate on what I've learned over the years doing game management is to trust the charts on when to call those timeouts because they run millions of iterations with time and timeouts that are left. So we never had a strong timeout call on any of those. The reason is it was a lot of those are predicated. Like the information I'm getting is, hey, if it's 2nd and 8 or more, call a timeout. So if they get a positive, a big, if it's 2nd and 4, we're not calling timeout. Hey, if they lose, it might be 1st and 10. If they lose 3 yards on this play, call timeout. And so it's really fine tuned. These charts are very fine tuned in these things. And my experience with them is there's a lot of things that are gut instinct, sometimes on going for it on 4th down. But I've learned over my years as a head coach that when it comes down to using these timeouts, just to trust those charts. And we just played it by the book.
Thank you, Steve. Dylan?
Yeah, coach, it was your first game coaching in college. What was your biggest takeaway, and what do you think you learned the most in coaching your first college game?
I mean, it just reiterates that you got to play for 60 minutes. You got to do the little things right. You got to avoid you got to seize the opportunities that you have. That first drive, we go all the way down, and we got to end up with 7 points right there. For example, defensively, on their touchdown, their one touchdown drive in the second quarter, we get the big sack and then we get the penalty. Those kind of lapses that end up, being missing points or creating points for the other team. Listen, no one play wins or loses a game, but you have a handful of things like that that happen in a game. That just gets reiterated over and over again to me. We got to be better on that.
Thank you. Ben?
Yeah, now upon kind of looking at the film, just what could you guys have done collectively as an offense to get more out of Sam Roush in this one? 3 receptions, 6 yards. Obviously, you want to get a lot more out of him than just that.
Yeah, we targeted him a couple times. That we had opportunities. There was one play where the ball gets tipped and we're throwing it to him. And if it doesn't get tipped and if the ball's on target, which I believe it's going to be, it's probably going to be a 30-yard gain. It was a little bit like the play that we hit to Chico Holt. We got a crossing route versus man coverage, and we got it dialed in, and it gets tipped at the line of scrimmage, or it's going to be a 30-yard play. There's two other short completions that we had to Sam. Like for 2 or 3 yards. Both of those plays had the potential to be bigger plays. The throw was behind him, that caused him to fall down for a 2-yard gain. And then we had another one where we had a little pick play on, and we didn't get the execution that we were looking for. We had a receiver kind of do the wrong thing. If he does the right thing, his defender comes down with him, and Sam's going to be out in the flat. It's going to be a 20-yard gain. So there were some missed opportunities that we had for Sam, that we need to execute on.
Thank you. Troy?
Yeah, Coach, I'll just kind of widen the shot there on that question a little bit and kind of take a look at things as a whole. Pass protection, quarterback, and receivers. What's your final analysis of how things went in the passing game on Saturday?
We were not good enough in the passing game. We were flat out, 3-point-something yards per attempt. Not that it's all about the stats, but we need to do better. I think we only gave up the 1 sack. Had a couple times where we're pressured, and Ben did a good job of throwing the ball away. I thought most of the game the protection was decent, but we did have our lapses, like what I alluded to earlier, which we cannot have. So we got to be more consistent there. And then, as I mentioned earlier, when we have the opportunities for those big 10, 20, 30-yard plays, we got to make them. And we left about 3 or 4 of those out there, that we should have easily converted and didn't. So that's definitely a major area of improvement. A lot of room to improve in the passing game, and I'm confident we will make that improvement.
John?
Coach, I'll switch to the defense. You called out the low yards per attempt against that offense. I noticed in the second half they were motioning a little bit to figure out if you were in man or zone. What went into? Why was it so? You're down a couple corners too. What was so effective against that offense? That's a pretty decent performance. What did you see there, especially when you reviewed the tape?
Yeah, I think it's a credit to the players, the defensive staff. I think there was a good plan. Kind of keep everything in front of us. Don't allow the big play. And there's one kind of chart that we do. Kind of a double positive thing as far as how many pass plays over 16 yards, how many runs over 10 yards. And our defense did a good job against that pass offense of eliminating or minimizing the number of pass completions over 16 yards. So keeping everything in front, that was good, and played good coverage. So was overall happy with that. I would have wished we would have played a little tougher on the last drive, could have played a little bit tighter coverage on the last drive. On the little check down a hit, we had a miscommunication. We didn't execute on a coverage that we had called, and our underneath coverage was not at the spots we needed to be at in order to keep that check down to being maybe a 6-yard gain rather than a 24-yard gain.
Thank you. Steve?
Yeah, Frank, is this week before you see BYU play, is this week pretty much devoted to solely looking at yourselves and getting better? Or do you still have an idea of what BYU is going to do and have some BYU part of this week with the bye and not seeing BYU at least on this season until Saturday?
Yes, it is both. I would say it's 75% about us. Let's do what we're doing better, make the corrections that we have to make from the game. About 25% of it is advanced stuff on BYU.
Thank you. Ben?
Yeah, I just kind of want you to get your thoughts on kind of going back to Micah Ford, kind of looking at the tape, kind of his performance and just kind of what he's going to be able to bring to you guys this season as as one of your lead backs.
Yeah, really happy with how Micah played. That was no surprise. I mean, he's been that way. Spring ball training camp, really established himself as our lead guy. And I thought what I loved the most was he got the tough yards. There were some really great runs in there, getting extra yards, not going down easy. And the other thing about, in this offense, you have to be able to play on every down, and Mike is able to do that. He understands what we're doing in the pass game and pass protection. So over the long course of the year, that just gives our offense an opportunity. But I was happy with the other guys, how they came in. I thought all the backs did a nice job. They all ran well. Our plan is always going to be to rotate the running backs. Micah can be the lead dog, but it's good when he's fresh, and when all the guys are fresh. They all came in and did a good job running the football.
Thank you, Troy.
Yeah, coach, of the guys who missed the game over the weekend and maybe a couple guys who got some bumps and bruises along the way, which of those guys who might be expected to be, or who might be trending to be expected to potentially be back for BYU?
Yeah, Troy, actually, we just got out of a meeting, staff meeting, just kind of giving an update on those guys. And as you would expect, we're going to take this week to just reaffirm, guys like Scotty and the like, are, just double down and make sure they're ready. I think we got about 3 or 4 guys in that category that we're optimistic could be ready for BYU. But we don't need to make that decision right now this week. So we'll continue. We'll be patient with our progression. I think the thing is, and I think, Troy, you and I might have had this conversation offline where I mentioned where, with those guys, a couple of those guys were close to maybe going to Hawaii, but conventional wisdom says, hey, let's just wait, because if it's iffy on that first game. So I think we'll get 1 or 2 of those guys back, but we'll play conservative this week and make that decision early next week.
John?
Coach, you are a former quarterback. Take us through that interception in the fourth quarter. At first, I thought it was the edge guy. There was some zip on that throw, and I thought an edge guy able to control it like that. And then I realized it was a safety, so a little bit better hands. But I mean, that's sort of a tough one for a quarterback. You can't really loft it because maybe the guy outside picks it off. I mean, kind of, what's the teaching point there? That's sort of a tough one for a quarterback, and I'd like to sort of get your thought on it.
No, you're right. That is a tough one, and it's a spectacular play by the safety. I mean, it's a spectacular play, plain and simple. I mean, we can run that play 100 times, and he'll never make that play again. So that's a credit to him. I mean, that's a great player making a great play. It was a situation where we had just hit a long play action pass on a 3rd and 1 or 2. So then Micah had about a 10+ yard run. So we're first down and we're on the 25-yard line. We're up by 3. And I'm just thinking, hey, they're playing run. They're all going to be stacked at the line of scrimmage. Sure enough, they were. So, we just called a little naked boot, try to hit something simple out in the flat. I was thinking it was a good, safe call, and thinking it was a good, safe call. And I'm looking down at my call sheet thinking, we're good. We'll hit this thing out in the flat, maybe gain 7-8 yards, put us in control. And the guy makes a phenomenal play. And all of a sudden the game just flips like that. And, where we're in control. And so just credit to the defensive player making a phenomenal play.
We'll take one last question. Dylan?
So, Micah obviously was the leading ball carrier, but Cedric and Cole also had a good game. Do you anticipate you're going to use kind of a running back by committee approach, or are you kind of leaning on having one guy be the main guy?
Yeah, honestly, I've always been a running back by committee guy. Now there's always typically a quote unquote a lead dog, and for right now, Mike is that guy. But you guys know it's no secret, and as you saw in the game, we had 43 rushing attempts. So in that sweet, if Mike is touching the ball 20+ times, 25 times, and those other guys are getting their 5 to 10 carries. I think that's a pretty good mix. That you got one lead dog, you want him to get 20 carries, and then you want the other guys to kind of mix in there, keeps everybody fresh.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll be right back with running back Micah Ford. All right, everyone, we are back with running back Micah Ford. We will take questions the same way we did for coach using the raise hand feature on Zoom. Dylan, you're up first.
Yeah, Micah, so kind of assess the game. How do you feel like you played and kind of just talk about the game overall?
Um, I feel like I played pretty well. You know, there's definitely things that I could have done better out there to put my team in a better position to win. But definitely not like satisfied with that performance. Definitely could have got more. And yeah.
Thank you, Dylan. Troy?
Micah, that 20 play, 85-yard drive, bridging the third and the fourth quarters, and ending with punctuated with your touchdown run. Kind of take us through that drive as you remember it from your approach and your perspective, and what sort of things worked and what sort of things were able to get you to punch it in for those 6 points.
Well, we're running the ball pretty well, and coach, putting us in the right position to succeed. You can tell they were starting to wilt towards the end. They didn't want to tackle our backs much anymore. So coach just had a game plan where we're just gonna keep running it down their throats, and we did just that and got in the end zone.
Thank you. John?
Mike, are you the type of back that gets stronger as the game goes on? That was hot weather and a lot of heat bouncing off the field. I mean, it is sometimes tapping the hat the way to go, or are you like, no, I'm used to this and I can go 25, 30.
Well, I'm most definitely human, so I definitely have my limits. But yeah, I would say I get stronger as the game goes on. Just as a good running back, you got to be able to adapt to your surroundings, and just to just yeah, pretty much.
Thank you. Ben?
Just talk about kind of collectively the performance of your room. Just talk about the support that you got from Cedric Irvin and also Cole Tab on Saturday.
Well, Sed and Cole are both great football players. Very good running backs as well, and yeah, they're by my side all through the way. If I needed a break, I know Seth was gonna go in there and get the job done, and same thing with Cole. You know what I'm saying? So you expect the same out of all of us for the rest of the season, and yeah.
Thank you. John?
Mike, I noticed a time or two you were in the progression for a pass play, and it didn't happen or whatnot. Talk about Coach Reich's offense and the possibilities of you as a receiver.
Well, like we get the backs out on a lot of routes. Sometimes we're first in the progression, sometimes we're last in the progression, but it's all about, Ben has his reads. He goes through his reads. He makes the decision that he thinks is, best at that time, and we just got to ride with it.
Thank you, John. Troy?
What's at stake for the squad for this week, even though there's no opponent? What's on the table for the guys for this week?
We have a chance to get better, you know what I'm saying? No football game, but we have a chance to mentally and physically lock in and, kind of get our bodies back fresh from, physical game yesterday or 2 days ago. So
Thank you. Ben?
Yeah, just kind of general, kind of similar along the lines of Troy's question. Just talk about the benefit you guys can get from having a week 0 game and getting a chance to kind of reevaluate things earlier in the season, and then enter week 2 with a 2 week having come off a bye.
yeah, just like I said before, just a chance to, get the look at the film, look at the things we need to get better at and just really harp on those things throughout the week of practice. We have 2 long weeks of football to, prepare for the next opponent. So we're definitely gonna be ready when that time comes.
Any other questions for Micah? All right. Thank you so much, Michael. We'll be right back with Matt Rose. All right, we are back with Matt Rose. We'll take questions again in the same way we did for both Coach and Micah using the raise hand function on Zoom. And we'll take those as they come in. Ben, you're up first.
What's up, Matt? Just want to kind of get your thoughts on Saturday's game. You racked up like 12, 13 tackles, I think, in this one. Just what were you seeing out there that allowed you to bring down as many guys as you did?
Yeah, I just think coach had a good game plan going, and um, yeah, I thought the D line did a good job of not letting linemen get up to me, and but at the end of the day, we didn't get the job done. So
Thank you, John.
Matt, again, 13 tackles, 12 of them solo. The thing that kind of popped to us radio guys was just your pursuit. You seemed like you were all over the field, particularly laterally. Big step from the prior years. Is that just, I mean, you probably say all the above, but kind of speak to, I mean, greater speed, greater
yeah,
reading of the keys. What has led into what has been a big step for you to those that are watching you?
I just think coach, our coaches always always like emphasize relentless effort. So anytime, we're on the field, we're expected to give 100% effort and understanding that, we got backups behind us that will do the same thing. So I just think that's the biggest thing is this relentless pursuit to the ball.
Thank you, John. Dylan?
Yeah, so kind of just assess the defense as a whole in the first game and what and what you got out of the team from the first game.
Yeah. I think there's some good things to build on, although we didn't get the job done, but I feel like as a defense, just understanding we did do some good things out there. So just building on those things for, it's a long season. So yeah, just keep building on the good things that we did.
Troy?
Yeah, kind of narrowing that down a little bit to you individually. What are some things that you think you might be able to build on after making a pretty big impression, in that game and for the season opener?
Yeah, I think just confidence. Yeah, just build on that confidence and just as a defense, just realizing that just like the same thing, we did get some good things out there and just looking at the tape and just looking at the stuff we need to improve on, but also, having that confidence that we did do some good things out there.
Steve?
And Matt, you don't have a choice in this, but if you did, would you rather be playing this Saturday to you kind of wash that taste out of your mouth quicker, or do you prefer having the extra week to prepare to maybe right the wrong, so to speak, and maybe get a chance to do some work on BYU
Yeah.
for an extra week?
Yeah, I like how it is. We got a bye week coming up, just kind of just reassess, look at the tape and just recover from last game and honestly we'll have a 2 weeks to look at BYU and just, come best prepared for that game. So I like how it is.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Steve. John?
Matt, the run and shoot is unlike other offenses that you'll see the
Yeah.
remainder of the season. I mean, just talk about the challenge of prep for this game. You had some weather influence, and it seemed like the defense
Yeah.
did pretty well as a unit. But just with that run and shoot, I mean, you got to be in coverage. Sometimes
Yeah.
they can throw it deep. I mean, that's not an easy offense
Yeah.
to deal with.
100%. And I just think our coaches had a good game plan presented for us, and I thought we did a good job of executing it. And yeah, we watched a lot of film and we kind of understood their tendencies, and yeah, that's what I'll say.
Ben?
Yeah, just kind of talk about as a defense, you guys were able to get that strip sack and actually score points. So just talk about what do you guys, I mean, some of that was a function of Hawaii kind of gifting you guys one the 1 yard line, but what do you guys need to do to continue to be able to make an impact in that realm?
Yeah, I thought that was a huge play by Clay and a great start to the season and just kind of you know, just a good start and stuff like I said we can build on for the next few games, like scoring on defense. That's something that was a goal for us coming in the game, and to do that in the first play of the game was a great thing.
John?
Matt, talk about the inside linebackers as a group.
Yeah,
I mean, we called out Sam's name. Ja, we know
yeah,
can bring it. It just seemed like there was a collective enthusiasm and
yeah.
fierceness among that group that kind of led the way defensively. Talk about the vibe in the room.
Yeah, no, we have a deep room for sure, and we fully believe the next guy that comes in, we're gonna have relentless pursuit to the ball, just knowing because we have someone behind us that will come into the game and do the same thing. So it's very nice to have depth in the room, and yeah, as linebackers, that's our job is to give 100% to the ball. So it's great that we have depth behind us to allow us to do that.
Any other questions for Matt? Ben?
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious. Clay Patterson kind of giveth and taketh away in the game. He had TFL and then got the 15-yard penalty and they scored a touchdown. Do you guys talk to him about that at all? Anything to kind of message to him or just kind of what do you guys do after that? Obviously he must have felt bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Clay understood. Like we don't have to tell him anything. Like he's an older guy, so he understands, what he's got to do. So I just think it's kind of just Clay knew understood what had happened, so we didn't have to talk to him. So
Thank you so much for attending today's press conference. We will be back next week to prepare for BYU. Thank you.